Welcome to Over and Under Week 9. Well, we had a wild week last week, didn't I? I had 10 wins and didn't make no money. Can you believe that?
I got destroyed on the over and under, but I still won some money on my picks.
I picked 5 single games, hit all of them, and at the first, before the 4 o'clock games, the early games, then the late games killed me, man. I got some parlays and picked a couple bad single games, and got robbed a couple. Oh my God! Anyway, let's get on with our show. And before we get started, please hit the like button, be like Sonny, and share. We really need to build this channel, and we appreciate everyone that's trying to help us out there. So let's get on with our first pick, just which game that killed me last week involved this team right here, Colts. I couldn't believe they got beat, man, by a last
Wild
second
one.
Hail Mary. Oh, that's just, I don't even want to talk about it. Anyway, they're facing the Pats this week. Pats are favored by 4.5. Belichick usually does really well against a rookie quarterback. He really does a number on him. You know what? I've been on the Colts bandwagon. I love the Colts. I want them to do good, but I got to jump off, man. I'm going to go ahead and take the Pats this week, Just. I'm thinking New England's going to go ahead and cover. And I'm going to stick with New England.
I'm going to take the money line here, and I'm going to take New England. I think Jonathan Taylor is not 100%. He had a good game last week, but I don't think he's 100%, and I think that's going to be a big deciding factor in this game. So I'm going to take New England, and I'm going to take the money line this week.
All right. Let's move on to our next one, which is our beloved Chicago Bears in Miami. Playing in Chicago, wind's going to be blowing around. Miami is undefeated when Tua starts. Undefeated. And they picked up a good acquisition, man. That Bradley Chubb is a monster. I tell you what, man, I hate betting against the Bears. I hate it. I really do, man. Their offense is looking decent. Their defense can't stop nobody, though, man.
They can't.
And, Miami's a high-flying, high-scoring. They got 2 of the fastest receivers in the league, period, man. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go against my Bears this week. I'm taking Miami to cover. That's my pick.
Brian, I think I'm going to go the same way. I'm going to take Miami's money line. They had a big acquisition at the trade deadline in getting Bradley Chubb from my beloved Broncos. Hate to see him go. I think they win this game. I think he's going to have a big impact in this game. So I'm going to take Miami and the money line no matter how much I wanted to take the Bears earlier in the week until this trade happened. That trade happened, so I'm going to take the Miami money line.
The Bears just can't stop nobody. They can't. I mean, they're not the monsters of Midway no more. And they got rid of their number 1 tackler, man.
They did. Forgot that one, too. I think this is a blowout, unfortunately.
Yeah. All righty, let's move on to our next game, which is a divisional game here. Packers against the Lions. I've been all over the Lions this year. You know that. Because they covered every game not every game, but they covered more than any team in the NFL last year. They have not done that this year whatsoever. They scored a lot of points, but boy, they can't stop nobody. They can't stop a nosebleed or nothing, man. I tell you what, it's unbelievable. I got to go ahead and take the Packers. Rodgers has owned the Lions. He has, absolutely owned them. And, they played pretty decent last week. Everybody thought they was going to get absolutely destroyed, and I don't know if it was a mixture of the Packers playing decent, running the ball like they should, or the Bills just playing horrible the second half. But anyway, they stayed in that game. They covered. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm taking the Packers and giving you the points.
I think I'm going the same way. I think Aaron Rodgers has a good game this week, even though that offensive line is absolutely horrendous. I'm going to take Green Bay, and I'm going to take the money line.
All right. Let's move on to our next game. Should be a good game, another divisional game. Buffalo Bills against the New York Jets. And I tell you what, the Jets have really looked. They did a 180-degree turnaround on the way they've looked, man, without that Bryce Hall. And when he got injured, they just do not look the same. That kid threw 3 interceptions last week, Zach Wilson. He made some horrible decisions, and the Jets did not look good whatsoever. And I tell you what, the Bills always look good. Even when they play bad, they look good. I'm taking the Bills. The 11.5 points I'm afraid of. I don't like that many points in this game because the Jets are playing at home, and you just never know. It's a divisional game. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Bills and over is what I'm going to do. 46 points. Bills and over.
The injury to Bryce Hall has absolutely put the New York in a one-dimensional offense. I think this is a blowout, too. I'm not going to be as bold I'm just going to take Buffalo, and I'm going to take the money line. I think the Bills are the best team in the NFL. Even though the Eagles are undefeated, I think the Bills overall are the best team in the NFL. I'm going to take Buffalo money line.
All right, let's move on to our next game, which has baffled the shit out of me. Minnesota Vikings against the Washington Commanders. Minnesota's only favored by 3. I mean, I thought it should.
It's got me scratching my head too.
I thought it should at least be 4.5 or something like that. Minnesota's 6-1. Commanders 4-4. They got a lucky, in my opinion. I might be biased because I was on the shit end of the stick when it comes to losing money wise on the Colts last week, but they shouldn't have won that game last week, in my opinion. Anyway, they did, and I like their quarterback change though. Wentz is done as far as I'm concerned. That kid played pretty good. The Heineken kid played pretty damn good. He's exciting. He really is. He's pretty mobile, and I just like his game. But I don't like his chances of beating the Vikings right now. The Vikings are playing really, really good football, man. They really, truly are. They picked up that tight end from Detroit, and Hawkinson, T.J. Hawkinson. I don't think he'll be much of a factor this week. I think it'll take a couple weeks before he gets acclimated to the Vikings offense. But anyway, I like the Vikings. Over and under is 43. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Justin. I hardly don't do this. You know that. I'm going to go ahead and take the Vikings and over.
This week, I'm going to take the Vikings as well. This got me scratching my head, and I never do this. I'm going to take Minnesota, and I'm going to give you the 3 points. I never mess with the spread usually, but I'm going to take it this week. This is my lock for the week. I'm going to take Minnesota and give you the 3 points.
All right, let's go to our next game, which is a pretty wild game. Involves my Cincinnati Bengals. My Cincinnati Bengals. They ain't nothing to me, believe me, especially after last week.
They got me too.
I
hit the over, but
they killed me, man. Cleveland, they killed me. Anyway, let's get on with this one. Carolina against the Bengals. Bengals are favored by 7.5. Over and under is 43. I'll tell you what, there's no way I'm taking Carolina. No way. I think the Bengals are going to bounce back. Carolina's been in every game. They look decent, but I'm taking the Bengals, but I'm not going to give you them 7.5 points. I'm staying the hell away from that. I'm taking the Bengals and over is what I'm going to do.
I'm going to take the money line. I think Joe Burrow has a good game, even though last week they absolutely put him on his ass the whole entire game. I think they bounce back this week. Carolina is in the basement of the NFL this year. I'm going to take the Bengals, and I'm going to take the money line.
Yeah, the Bengals, they better slow that offensive line up.
They do.
They're going to lose that quarterback.
This team reminds me of the Bengals of the past 10 years. You had Carson Palmer, or even further, the last 15 years. Carson Palmer going down with injuries. Andy Dalton running for his life, his almost entire career with Cincinnati. I'm afraid this is going to happen to this kid. This kid could be an all-time great quarterback. Hopefully it doesn't, but the Bengals need to shore up that offensive line sooner rather than later.
All right, let's move on to our next game, the Chargers against the Falcons. Surprisingly, the first place Falcons. Can you believe that? I can't. But anyway, Chargers are a little bit disappointing, but their season's not completely over. They're 4-3. I mean, they could.
They're in the thick of things.
Yeah, they're still in the hunt. I mean, that division's wild, isn't it?
It is. It's below expectations, that's for sure.
Anyway, the Chargers are favored in this game. I usually love the home team underdog, especially the Falcons. They usually cover for me. But I gotta tell you what, man, I think the Chargers are gonna break out this week. I really do. I look for the Chargers to win pretty easily by maybe a touchdown. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the Chargers, man.
I'm gonna go the same way. I'm gonna take the Chargers money line. Second half of the season begins this week, so to speak. You will see a lot of the teams that are around 500. The expectations before the season, you'll see those big teams start to make a comeback. I'm going to take San Diego this week. I think they have a big game. I want to say this is a blowout, but I'm going to be safe, and I'm going to take the Chargers money line.
Yeah, this is November. This is usually when the contenders shine, you know what? And the pretenders sink. So we'll see what happens with the Falcons. All right, let's move on to our next game. Should be a decent game. The Raiders against the Jags. Decent game. The Raiders have destroyed me this year. My God. Jags have been in every game, man. I'll tell you what. I don't do this very often. I don't go with Jacksonville very often, but I am this week. I'm taking the Jags. I think they're gonna run, control the game, control the clock. If Lawrence don't make many horrible decisions. I think they win the game because offensive line for the Raiders is non-existent. Derek Carr's running for his life. They looked horrible, man, last week. I'm going to go ahead. They haven't won a road game anyway this year. I'm going to go ahead. I'm taking the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm going to stay away from this game because both offenses are absolutely horrendous. I'm going to take a bold one this week. I'm going to take the over. That's a lot of points for these two offenses. But I'm going to take a bold one, and I'm going to take over that 47.5 points.
All right. Let's move on to our next game. This is a wild, wild game. I never would have dreamed these two teams would have been set where they are right now. Tampa Bay and the Rams. Rams won the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay and the Rams were in the playoffs last year. They knocked the Bucs out, but it was a great game. I can't believe their records this year. It's unbelievable, man. Tom Brady is on a 3-game losing streak. I tell you what, as bad as they look, I don't give a shit. I'm taking Tom Brady. He is too good of a player. He's not going to go out like this. He's going to make a comeback. Somewhere along the line, I'm picking this week to do it. I'm taking Tom Brady and giving you 3 points.
I'm going to take Tampa Bay money line. I think he's got way too many offensive weapons for them to be sitting at the record they are. They've had some injuries. He's had some off-field issues. I think they win this week. The Rams getting beat by the 49ers last week showed me a lot about this Rams team. I'm going to take Tampa Bay, and I'm going to take the money line this week.
All right, this is a wild. Next game we got, my God, the Titans against Kansas City. Kansas City's favored by 12.5. These two teams met last year, and the Titans beat them. I tell you what, man, I don't know. I don't know if Tannehill's playing. It's an up-in-the-air deal right now. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to be safe with this one. I'm going to – this is our show, Over and Under, so I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm taking the Chiefs, and I'm going to go over the 45.5. That's what I'm going to do. And I don't feel good about it. I tell you what, I kind of like the Titans with the points, to be honest with you. But I'm going to go ahead and take the Chiefs and over.
This is a lot of points. I'm going to take Kansas City in the money line. I'm not confident about any pick of this game, but I'm going to take Kansas City money line just to be safe.
All right. Here's our last game. This should be a really, really good game.
Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football. Baltimore against the Saints, and the Saints looked pretty damn good last week, man. Andy Dalton didn't play too bad. I don't have no faith in Andy Dalton whatsoever. And I tell you what, man, Baltimore, they've got themselves a quarterback. There ain't no doubt about that. We all love Lamar Jackson. So it's a Lamar Jackson, Andy Dalton. But I tell you what, I don't know. I'm going to go against all my logic this week. I'm going to go ahead and take the Saints at home. I think the Saints defense has finally woken up. I think they're going to stop Lamar. That's pretty much what they got to do. Run the ball. I'm taking the Saints at home.
Brian stopping Lamar is everybody's Achilles heel this year. He's had a great season so far. I think Baltimore wins this game. This is going to be a close one, I feel like, but I'm going to take Baltimore. I'm going to take the money line this week.
All right. Well, it's a short week for sure. That's all of our
quick show.
All of our picks, man. But I tell you what, please, man. Hey, our Thursday night picks. I usually put mine on Facebook. I'm actually right now I've got a damn good record. I'm 7-1, and my one loss was with my Chicago Bears, and that's with the spread. So catch me on Facebook on Wednesday. I put it out there and let you know how I'm going. So far, like I said, I'm 7-1, doing great, and I really appreciate everyone who is trying to help us build this show. I mean, believe me, we
Absolutely.
really truly appreciate it. So please like, subscribe, continue to share, leave us some comments on our show. Let us know how we can improve, the things you didn't like, the things that you want to see us do, whatever. Just criticize us, praise us, whatever you want to do. Just we want to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week on Over and Under.